This is C.SQUARED, where every conversation is a crucial conversation. With your hosts, Rebecca Mitchell, Miguel Buhanda, and Anthony Walker. With today's co-hosts, Talal Khan and Christian Sauter. Welcome to C.SQUARED.
Welcome to C.SQUARED. I'm your host, Anthony.
I'm Miguel.
And I'm Rebecca.
Joining us today is our two co-hosts, Talal Khan and Christian Sauter.
Welcome.
Welcome!
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Cool.
Talal, tell us about yourself and what you do and what bring you here today.
Well, by profession, I'm a deputy DA for Los Angeles County. Here I am, not in that capacity. Anything that I say here are my personal opinions and not represented opinions of the district attorney's office.
Well said.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. And Christian?
I'm an artist and a production designer. I work on commercials and I make sculptures out of recycled electronics.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Cool.
Also today on the show, we have Matt Metters, who is our resident commentary on location. Welcome, Matt.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hi,
Thanks
Matt.
for coming.
Matt.
Aw.
So today we're talking about love and politics. So right now I want to just take a question and ask Talal, how do you feel about the ban that Donald Trump has put as far as with the immigration going into the airports?
Well, when I came to this nation 17 years ago, I didn't necessarily come to a country. I came to an idea. An idea that it's a free nation that guarantees equal opportunities and protections for all. So, this ban threatens, in my opinion, that guarantee. That's how I feel about it. And I am, however, very thrilled with the fact that the judges of this country have unanimously rejected this ban, and it's going to go down in history as Donald Trump's biggest fiasco.
I think he's got a few of those going.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
I think it's a perfect example of the checks and balances in practice. You know, we have a judiciary that is independent from the federal government and from the legislature. So when they check the president like this and say what you just did is unconstitutional and we need to review it further, it's a perfect example of that in power.
It's very interesting that he actually has this whole idea that he's running this country like a business when he is the employee of the people. So, you know, to still some sort of ban like that, and building a freaking wall, you know, it's kind of silly for you to make these decisions without consulting your stakeholders or the people that are part of your country is the people. And it's so sad that the country is going this way. And it's horrible to hear that a president of this nation to make that type of remark and then do those type of bills or amendments or whatever.
See, in my opinion, I think that he's just trying to get noticed. So basically, he's making all of these outrageous acts, like acting like a big kid doing social media and everything, just to get attention. So I think he knows that he cannot pass that law, but he's just getting a name for himself and staying that celebrity. That's, in my opinion,
I couldn't agree more. He's directly playing to his base. And right now you see about 35% of the country which strongly supports him, and the other 65 are like, what are you doing? And so he's really just playing up to his core group. And so he knows that maybe it's not going to go through, but what he's doing is he's fulfilling his campaign promise to the people who voted for him, as horrendous as that is. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you guys feel safer being in what's considered a sanctuary city? Do you feel a little bit safer, a little bit more at home, a little more at ease with everything that's going on?
Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you, about my family. My family has lived here for over 10 years. They're legal permanent residents, and they have not done anything illegal ever. They've never committed any crimes. They've worked hard. They pay taxes. And the day this ban was instituted, my mom called me late night talking about she wants to go into hiding somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Genuinely
Where's
scared.
your mom at?
Genuinely.
Where's your mom at?
She's in the East Coast, outside Atlanta.
Okay.
And she was genuinely scared. She called me and said, Talal, do we need to go find a place to go hide? And I said, wait a second, did you commit a crime? If so, don't tell me about it. But so this is causing a genuine fear in law-abiding members of our community who are here legally, who have done nothing wrong.
And it's just tragic that the leader, supposedly, of our nation is going to cause such great anxiety in a large portion of the citizenry.
We have Matt that wanted to say something about what we were reviewing. Matt?
Yeah, so I think, you know, this whole thing has unintended effects, which include, of course, you know, scaring people who are law-abiding citizens, things like that. But, you know, also it's keeping people out of our country who make great contributions in terms of, you know, jobs that other people maybe can't fulfill who live in the U.S. and things like that. And so, you know, in addition to not doing what it sets out to do, it actually does things that are unintended.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it really creates a whole idea of, I mean, my parents are also immigrants. They came to this country, you know, and they did the whole fashion in a Coyote, in a truck, you know, hitched a ride and made it to California. I'm the firstborn here. And I think it's very interesting that, you know, even my mother had the same, she didn't have the, I mean, I could definitely hear about the ban, and that's much more scarier. But my mom was like, you know, I'm so glad I became a citizen because I'm not as afraid as, you know, for her brother who's not a citizen. And I was like, I don't know exactly the question, but, and I said the whole idea of, we're in California, we shouldn't really have much to worry about, but we do. And it's that false sense of security, thinking that we're in a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state because of those overwhelming fears.
Also, it instills fears in people who are overseas, right? Yeah. I mean, in the Middle East, the LGBT community, who would often see United States as a shelter to come to, to be protected against the persecutions that they face in their home countries, right? In many Middle Eastern countries, it is an honor, a prize to erase LGBT community, to make them suffer. That's what they take. That's what they take pride in. And so a lot of LGBT minorities in the Middle Eastern countries, you know, come to the United States as a refugee, and with a ban like this, they wouldn't be able to.
How do you feel about the laws that President Trump is trying to incorporate? Certain laws as far as the...
So let me just cut you off right there. I don't think there are laws. Laws are when Congress passes a law, legislature passes a law, and president signs on it. That's a law. Mm-hmm. This is not a law. This is dictatorship. These are just executive orders which, you know, someone is a chairman of a company may be sending down in a company. This is not a law. So
what I'm saying is just certain laws he's trying to pass within his first 100 days. So there's a list that he's trying to do, like the policy, as far as that, like the policies that he's trying to incorporate. How do you feel about certain policies, and like as far as whether you feel it's unconstitutional or not?
Well, clearly the courts are, that's something that's going to be litigated by the court system, and so far we have seen a bunch of them, you know, being held as unconstitutional. So this is very, very early in the
guys, let me break up. It's getting a little heavy here. It's getting a little heavy, getting a little serious. Okay. Christian, may I ask you, what exactly do you identify with as far as your sexuality, and what are you interested in? And how does that affect you here?
Well, off the bat, what we normally have to talk about with these for people at home who might not know the intricacies of sexuality and gender is you have 3 different subjects that you're talking about. You have sex, which is what you were born as, your biology. You have your gender, which is how you self-identify, so you could be a boy or a girl or somewhere on the spectrum.
Hold it. We'll be back after a moment. Right now, check out Boots on the Ground.
This is C.SQUARED, Boots on the Ground, and I'm your host, Brandon Burciaga. Today I have the lovely LaShayla and Tyrese. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So where are you guys from?
Arizona.
Representing the hot, although we're kind of matching it out here. It's a little hot in the desert out here too. So I have a few questions. What's your thoughts on the hot topic, the president and his administration?
He like an orange Cheeto. He is not my president. He might be y'all president, but he ain't mine.
No comment. Oh, okay. So we have Cheeto and no comment. I'm gonna say that's 0 for 0 there, you know what I'm saying? Like there's not really much happening. Okay, how do you feel about the whole transgender topic and the whole bathroom issue and all that?
I love everybody, do what y'all gotta do. Hey, we all one people. We all came from God. So if you want to be a woman, be a man, do your thing. I ain't got nothing to do with me, but do your thing.
Yeah, I don't have no problem with it. I think it's cool.
I mean, it's just a bathroom, right? What's the issue? People but people, right? Thank you.
Welcome back to C.SQUARED. We just last left, we were talking about gender identity, sex, and these are very important concepts in working with and just, you know, interacting with people when we don't necessarily know them. So tell us a little bit more about what you're talking about.
Okay, so when we talk about gender and sexuality, there's three basic categories. You have your sex, which is your biology, your genetics, what you were born as. You have your gender identity, which is what you identify as. So, you know, I identify as gender fluid, but you could identify as a boy or a girl. And then you also have your orientation, which is who you're attracted to. So for myself personally, I'm gender fluid, which means I don't identify as either a boy or a girl, or you could say I identify as both.
Well, you look great as both.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But for my sexuality, I'm pansexual. So that means I'm attracted to basically everybody. Not everybody, I mean, I still have to find them attractive and you know, personable. But you know, it's not like I'm only boys or only girls. Or, you know.
And it's also, I mean, those are the identity or the gender identity of the individual or sexual identity of the individual, right? And then we also have the behavior, because what you do sexually is not necessarily lumped up to if you're a boy or a girl.
You could be very masculine on the outside, and you know when you go
bottom in the bed.
I mean, you could go as far as being a sissy in the bed. You know, you could be somebody who wants to dress up like a woman and experience that as a fetish. But you could also, you know, that might be the only way for somebody who, you know, maybe lives a very conservative lifestyle due to their job or their background or their family. Right. You know, that might be the only way they can express that side of themselves is in the bedroom with their partner.
Right. Oh, so let's go back to that. So with you in the bedrooms, I hear you were married.
Yes,
to a woman who's a lesbian.
Married. Yes, exactly. So my wife, when we got together, she had pretty much exclusively sworn off of men. She was all about the ladies. But I mean, I suppose you could call her bisexual now because, you know, I broke through.
Do you guys have an open relationship? Do you bring others in?
Not currently. I mean, you never know what the future holds, but that's really not something we're at right now in our relationship.
It's good that you're open to the
idea.
I
mean, you never know if you're going to want to spice things up in 10 years, but, you know, as it is now, we very much fulfill each other. So, you know, I'm masculine and feminine in bed. And sometimes it depends on my mood. Sometimes it'll change in the middle of a sex session. So,
it's good to have a little of both.
That's really interesting. So I've got a question. At what point did you come to a realization that you were, you said gender fluid? And did you always know that you wanted to be part of, categorized as both sexes, or how did that happen?
In terms of where I'm at now, it was a relatively recent realization, but aspects of my femininity have been with me since I was a child, you know. I don't subscribe necessarily to that traditional narrative of, oh, he's a woman trapped in a man's body. And that's true for very many people, and that's not to take that away from them. Very many people feel like that, and they've always felt like a woman and they were born in the wrong body. Myself personally, I don't see myself as going one direction or the other in the gender binary. I think it's, you know, over time I realized more things about myself and what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be. And you only have one life to live, so live it exactly how you want to live it, you know?
Yeah, it's very interesting because, you know, when it comes to gender, or, you know, sexual identity, really. I mean, we all are, a lot of us that are not necessarily the gay, bisexual, or transgender, we're privileged with the idea of like, hey, I don't have to think about this. I live my life like this all the time. For example, as a cis male, like I'm a man, and I never have to worry about what anybody here thinks.
Will you tell us about what a cis male is?
So what is that? It's a really good, that's a good question. So maybe help me out a little bit on the term. So from my understanding is a cis, okay, so a transgender is somebody who changes their gender identity, right? So a cisgender person is somebody who hasn't. You were born female, you're raised as a female, you've never changed your identity. You are a cis woman. I was born a man, grew up as a man, I live my life as a man, I am a cis male. But somebody who's trans, was born of one sex and moved on to transition to another gender, they're a transgender. So again, it doesn't necessarily, it creates a equality when it comes to gender it can be, you know, two different.
And that gets into more interesting things because it's still a gender binary when you're talking about it in those terms. So you have male and female, masculine and feminine. But not everyone ascribes to that. Some people feel asexual. They don't feel they have a gender one way or the other. Or sorry, that's asexuality. But they're agendered. So they don't have one identity one way or the other. They just feel like I'm a human being. Right. You know, I don't want features that are really macho or really feminine.
And some people's energy is also a masculine or feminine versus off what they put off visually. Because I have a very masculine energy, but I present as a very feminine female. However, as you might guess, I'm a bit of an alpha female.
Or sometimes it depends on who you're with and what relationship you're in that you choose to be this role. And that's what a lot of us do, depending on the person.
That's true.
I know Matt had something to say. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, yeah, so I have a lot of friends who are in the trans and gender nonconforming communities, and I know that they received some pushback either from like cisgender people or people in their own community, and I'm just wondering if any of that has affected you?
Me personally?
Yeah, Christian.
I mean, you get some pushback from family members who might not even realize that they're being offensive. It's so beyond the pale for them to even realize that their little boy might be a little girl that they might react negatively. I grew up in a Catholic household, so if I express my current gender identity now at, like, say, family gatherings, I do get a little bit of pushback. And for some people, you know, that you could respond very negatively. That could lead you to a deep sense of depression if people that you consider your loved ones aren't accepting of who you are as an individual. So I'm lucky enough that I haven't experienced too much of that. It's more just passive-aggressive little things that happen. But, you know, I have many friends who didn't have that experience. You know, they were violently thrown out of their houses when they found their parents or whoever found out who they were.
And I think we can all relate to the fact that labels are always thrown on us, right? We're always labeled. Doesn't matter if people don't care, you know, whether you're a man or woman. They don't care your sexuality. They say, like, they see you visually, they have their assumption.
And they want to know, are you gay? Are you straight? Are you bi? Well, some of us aren't any of those. I'm not any of those.
But you know, nowadays the gay culture is so accepted where it doesn't even matter anymore.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing. We have come a long way.
I speak from a position of privilege living in Los Angeles, which is at this point pretty much the gay capital of America, just because they've been priced out of San Francisco by all the techies. So yeah, I mean, we're really lucky to live where we live. It goes back to our political conversation. You know, we're very, very lucky to live here. I feel much safer in a sanctuary city, and I feel safer with a mayor like Eric Garcetti, you know, who comes out and speaks at the Women's March on January 21st and says he has our backs. You know, now he has a mandate from his populace to protect us and protect our liberal-minded interests of equality for all races and genders and religions and everybody, because that's America. Is the inclusivity. That's real America. And so, yeah.
We're also really lucky. I'm sorry. We're also really. I was going to say we're really lucky to live in an age where we have the internet to seek out other options and seek out other events and other support groups for the LGBTQ community. So I think that, you know, being in this era, we're also really lucky in that sense that we have that opportunity to help us find some support.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I personally found many communities online through Reddit or other forums, you know, where you can have a little organic community pop up and you'll have people from all over the world being like, I didn't even know I was this, but now because I have the words to put to it, because you guys gave me a vocabulary, you know?
So I have a question. How do you deal with as far as the religious aspect when they see you as far as being judgmental? How do they react to the discrimination towards you, being that you're androgynous?
Yeah. In my family personally, I'm used to being a black sheep because, like I said, I was raised Catholic. I'm no longer a Catholic. I identify as an atheist. So, you know, or you could call it a secularist or a free thinker. Basically, somebody who just doesn't.
Or a black sheep.
You know.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, whatever. You know, I'm used to that from my family, getting a little bit of pushback and being like, "You're going to go to hell, aren't you worried?" You know, so this is just one more feather in that hat.
All right, well, thank you so much. And up next, we're going to have a C-Squared pop culture moment with Thomas Olina.
Hey everyone, and welcome to C-Squared Pop Culture Moments with me, Thomas Olina. This year we've been treated with some unforgettable moments on television, but there are 3 in particular that I want to highlight. From an iconic award show to a biopic of the Queen of Pop, and of course the controversial Best Picture flub seen around the world, I think it's fair to say we're not short on entertainment. Let's get started. Now for music lovers like me, this year's Grammys truly delivered. We saw Adele win the coveted Album of the Year award for 25, mommy of twins-to-be Beyoncé performed a breathtaking number on her magic chair, and Fenty Puma designer and always fashion-forward, Rihanna, showed up with the most epic accessory of the night, her flask. Now if you know me, you know I love Britney Spears. The highly anticipated Lifetime biopic titled Britney Ever After documented the hitmaker's timeline in the spotlight, reliving moments from her days with her famous ex, Justin Timberlake, to her shocking public breakdown 10 years ago. This year's Oscars left us with some memorable moments. Viola Davis became the first Black actress to win a Tony Award, Emmy Award, and most recently an Oscar. And of course, the controversial Best Picture win for which La La Land was mistakenly announced. Producers from the award show came rushing to the stage to clear up that in fact, Moonlight was the actual winner. Despite the major moment, it was an exciting and glamorous night. Congratulations to all the winners. That's all for this edition of C-Squared Pop Culture Moments with me, your host, Thomas Olina. For more of me and what I do, find me at Thomas Olina on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. And now let's get back to your crucial conversation.
Hey, welcome back to C-Squared. I want to welcome our guests, Joshua and Brandon. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
thanks for joining us.
What's up, guys? Hey, guys. Good to be here.
So, we're going to be talking a little bit about relationships, and we're going to get some subject matter experts over here. So, tell us a little bit about yourselves. I know you're engaged.
We are engaged. We are engaged now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us all how you guys met.
Oh, that's a good question. I always like to let him start, and then I'll finish up. Go ahead.
He actually just corrects the mistakes that I make, so figure that out. We actually met in Charlotte, North Carolina, many years ago. We've lived in 4 different states together now.
Wow.
We've been together 7.5 years.
Oh, that's a long time engaged.
Yeah,
we've been
like 28.
We've actually been engaged 6.5 years.
Oh, wow. So y'all got engaged
on the first year on our 1-year anniversary.
So is the wedding in another 6.5 years?
Maybe.
Four more states?
4 more states. I know. I don't know. We met online initially. And
was this like on an online website or a dating app?
Yeah.
So if for those of you out there that remember, there was a site called Adam for Adam. Oh. Yes, that was back in the day before everyone was on their phones. You actually had to log into the website on a website on a
dial-up.
And
or an AOL chat room.
AOL. Yahoo Messenger.
Right.
AIM.
AIM with those emotional status wave messages. But yeah, so we met on there, and the funny thing is, he actually invited me over to one of his like pool parties or something. He was a big player back then, and I said I had something to do, and I couldn't go. And what did you say to me?
I don't know. I said something about, girl, get over yourself. He quickly informed me, after the last segment about gender and sexuality and anatomy, he quickly informed me he was not a girl. And he did not want to go because of that. So he defriended me.
I did. I hit the button
on what? That's back when it really hurt.
Did you block him on Adam for Adam?
On Adam for
They had a
Adam.
Facebook. They still do, but I just heard.
So I was unfriending folks
Is there
before
an
it
E
became
for
a thing.
No.
Ooh, that was.
I was just curious
I
if
don't
there
know
was
her.
an E for E.
I don't know.
You're great marketing. You should start that.
There you.
So y'all been
$1 million.
together for 7 years.
Yeah.
7.5
You've been
years.
7.5. Let me get it right. So you've been engaged
Right.
for 6 years.
For 6 of them.
And so how are the struggles being together for that long? You know, gay as men, the sexual aspect. Are you open relationship? Like, how does that work? The cheating, you know, give us the good stuff.
Okay. What good stuff do you want to give?
Well, we don't do open relationship. I mean, we've both been in a lot of different relationships over the years, and so it's like we know that it doesn't work. So we just decided, you know, monogamy all the way. We work together to make sure that we're communicating a lot. We talk to each other. We know each other's hot buttons, what not to say, and how not to push each other, and we try to avoid those at all costs.
Try being the key word.
Yeah. So
right
you're
there.
petty. So you're petty at times.
Yeah. Oh no, I admit full on. I know exactly when to be petty, how to be petty, and how it gets me what I want. So, you know, sometimes you do have to play those things. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just found that there really wasn't anyone else. Like I look at that face and like that's just you know, they try to offer, but nah, who could turn that down?
They are so cute.
Okay, I do have a question though, because I've asked this about different couples, especially in long term.
Yeah.
We know as men, like you mentioned right now, as guys, you know, even guys in girl relationship, whatever it be, sex is really hot and heavy first couple of years, right? But then time goes on, sex goes like this. And all couples I spoke to.
For some.
Really?
For some.
Not for everybody.
You tell me you're gonna be with somebody for 20 years and want to be with the same person.
When you were a true
intensity?
freak, when you were a true freak, you ain't gotta worry about that.
Yes, but I agree with you. But that's one freak. What if there's two freaks?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What if one person tends to like lower their sex drive and the other thing happens? So my question to you is like, how intense? So if your sex life was 100% in the beginning, 7.5 years later, how is the sex life in comparison to the beginning?
Oh, you're talking about how's it now?
Yes,
I get you.
I'm talking about.
I know that, right?
Okay, where is it at now? Okay.
That paper ain't gonna tell you.
I'm not asking you how many times.
No. I get what you mean.
So, is it boring?
After 7.5 years, it's not necessarily boring, but it's just not needed as much as I think. You know, I'll speak for me. I'll speak for myself. You know, it just doesn't even cross my mind. After 7.5 years, I'm tired. I'm ready to get. You know, sometimes I come home and I'm ready to throw on some sweatpants and, you know, watch Netflix without the chill. But you know, he still puts the chill in it sometimes.
Someone got to be the freak.
Well, no, so I get it. So basically, after that long period of time, it's more about love than it is more about the whole sex. Now, for me, it'd be both.
What do you think? Heterosexual relationship.
Come
on, being a woman. Let's say.
Hey, I like a lot of different kind of crazy stuff. So I like to keep it reinventive. You got to make sure to always just keep reinventing yourself in the bedroom. Keep it hot, keep it spicy. And I think it's really important to ask your partners about, you know, stuff that's really important to them and kind of figure out what they really want. Because a lot of people don't ask their partner, what is like your deepest desire? And they don't explore those areas. So it's always good to find out what your partner really wants.
I got a question for you, Rebecca. I know all the viewers are wanting to know, what is your sexual situation?
Well, I'm single right now. Okay, I'm single right now. Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. I don't really feel like I fit into any category, as I've mentioned prior. However, I am sexually attracted to masculinity, and whether it comes in the form of a man or a woman doesn't matter. However, I definitely like to play the femme role, as you can see. But I am an alpha female in my energy. So, and I like to be the feminine gal in a relationship, if you guys know what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's hold that thought. Let's give you a few moments, and we'll get back, take a commercial break.
Everything's alright.
Welcome back to C Squared. So with our special guests, Brendan and Joshua, we of course have Matt, and Matt has something to say. Matt, what do you have to say?
Hey, Brandon and Joshua. So I noticed something about you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you two are an interracial couple. And I know that you guys met in the South. I don't know where you're from originally, but did your parents, your friends, anyone have anything to say about you dating someone who's of a different race?
Yeah, great question, Matt. So neither one of us are from the South, but like I said, we met in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and we even lived in Wyoming most recently. And the whole idea of this like interracial gay couple, we were almost, I would say we were almost like prized possession. There was lots of times where we felt like we were like the hired interracial gay couple to provide the diversity. What do you think about that?
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing we're interracial, but no, I grew up in a pretty conservative area in southeastern Ohio near West Virginia. You know, I remember going through school and we had 2 black kids in my school, and I always made the joke I didn't know what a Latino was until I moved to Florida. So it was very interesting, you know, going through, like taking him home to my family for the first time, and him becoming part of the family.
Right.
And now, like, nobody says anything, like nobody will greet me or send me a message without saying, make sure Brandon knows, say hi to Brandon, you know, we love our nephews, or whatever the case may be.
That's cool.
And so the struggle probably the most was when we moved to Wyoming, because it was such a red state, and you know, there were no gay people in the town we moved into. I mean, I'm sure there were, but not out. And there were so few black folks or folks from any kind of ethnic background.
Right.
So I know it was a little difficult for me, but I know it was even much more difficult for him to deal with sort of the, I don't know, the hypocrisy.
I think it'd be hard for any of us Californians to live in Wyoming.
And ultimately, that's where it came from, because his town in Ohio had a lot of similarities to where we were in Wyoming. Where I'm from here. I'm from Los Angeles, so I'm used to buildings, people, whatever around me, and being out there, walking to your backyard and seeing nothing but desert and dirt for about 5 miles out there were days I just started crying, walking outside.
So, I mean, you know, being a couple for a long time, and there's other types of couples out there, right? There's always just a lot of single people, but, you know, polyamory has actually become a big thing in our community, you know, in thruples and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
I think that's kind of getting bigger in all communities.
It is getting bigger in all communities.
Yeah, explain your thruple. Hold on. Tell me. Let me get the information on. Explain your situation.
Define this for us.
Well, a throuple is basically a relationship with more than 2 individuals, so maybe a third. And I was in a throuple for about, what, almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a primary couple. It was me and my partner. We were together for about 7 years also. And we're no longer together, by the way. But it's not because of the throuple. Don't blame me. But we invited a third into our relationship, and he was our boyfriend. And it was the 3 of us. And we ended about a year and a half into the relationship. We ended it with him, and then we continued as a couple. But it was a different structure.
How did being with your boyfriend, the third, affect your relationship after you broke up with him?
See, that's one of the things that we discuss when, you know, sort of picking this out, whether it was for us or not. Like the idea that's, you know, you would have to give that love and affection to that other person.
You
as
do.
Well.
You feel like a third wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hold up.
But I think we get so stuck with the idea of the structure, right? It's like you're with one person and you only have the capacity to only love one other individual. But the reality is, if you all in agreement, if you have the communication and a foundation, you're able to, disperse that love and that affection with one another.
So why didn't it last?
That was us, completely other issues. But the thing actually, the throuple actually made us a stronger relationship.
Okay.
Because the thing is, we ended up becoming a team, a stronger team to deal and handle our third. So we actually, it forged us to be stronger. So in actuality, it worked for us. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but the reality is...
So is there any sexual sort of going on with one group, or did they all have to be all 3 there?
See, that's a
No, I would go out of town for work at times, and I would say, oh, they stay together, and That's fine.
And I guess if one person don't want to do it, then the other person can.
There you go. Someone's in the mood.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So let's get to boots on the ground.
On the whole LGBTQ platform, what's your take on the whole transgender, not using certain restrooms and all that?
First of all, I think it's sick. First of all, people should feel comfortable to use the bathroom wherever they feel most comfortable at. I mean, we're all just there to go and leave. You know, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be a big deal. I don't think there's ever been an instance of a transgender person raping a cisgender person in the bathroom. That doesn't happen. I don't know where this fear comes from. Second of all, I think the true fear should be if you got a badass transsexual walking into the men's bathroom. I don't know, especially at a club, at a bar, you never know what could happen, because I know some bad transsexuals who will fool anybody in a second. So, you know, at the end of the day, I just think really we're causing more harm than good by not allowing them to go to the bathroom
Right, I think they get a little butthurt, because I've seen some transgender people that I'm like, well, you look better than my ex, or like, you know, and you're like, you just a little hurt, to be honest.
You're like, man. I mean, honestly, me personally, another opinion, and that's just me. Like, as a gay man also, like, I don't understand why we treat transgender people different from cisgender person, because I'm not attracted to a trans woman, because I'm not attracted to a woman because I'm gay. If it looks like a woman, I don't want it. I'm not looking at whether or not you have a penis or a vagina. I'm looking at your physical appearance, and if that's what I'm attracted to. So it's like, I just don't understand how we just let the penis or the vagina completely control somebody's identity of who they are. You don't even see it. So it's like,
it's about hearts, not parts, right?
Exactly, hearts, not parts, I dig.
And with that said, Darren's got something to say. Hold on real quick.
Oh yeah, fuck Donald Trump. I feel like America's about peace and love, and that's what we have to stand for. And Trump has taken this nation and divided us in 2 months. So we gotta do something.
With that said, I think that's mic drop.
Mic drop. Pick it back up.
Welcome back to C.SQUARED. I want to thank our special guests, Talal and Christian. Thank you so much for joining us. You're on social media, right?
Yes, you can follow me at Christian Sauter, or you can see my Etsy shop at Salt Revival.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for coming.
I also want to thank our special guests, Joshua and Brandon. That's awesome. And of course, Matt. Matt, are you out there?
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt. Now, don't forget to follow us on social media. This is C.SQUARED, and we're out. Thanks. No, it's good. And sorry about that up earlier. Now you know how it felt.
No, I know how I feel. Like, no. I apologize for messing up.
I'm looking forward to my No, I don't. Actually, I'm really nervous.
Me, if you're looking for a place to have crucial conversation, no longer have to fear, cause you can have them here.